welcome back students. How are you? I hope you are fine and studying regularly. Alright. Now 5th chapter and we are in the 6th session. What did we learn in the 5th session? Yes, axiom 5.1, its statement and understanding. Then example 1 and 2 and then theorem 5.1. Children, the proofs that I have given are unimportant for the point of view of examination. Proofs from this chapter will not be asked. Other chapters it will be asked. Be careful. So it is very important for you to remember the statements of each axiom, each postulate and each theorem, because in future we are going to use them when we through a logical reasoning we prove any statement. Is that okay? Chaliye. In this session we are going to solve exercise 5.1. Let's see the first question. What is first question? Which of the following statements are true and which are false? So true or false? But give reasons for your answers. You cannot just bluff true or false. Okay? You have to give the reason for your answer. Let's see the first statement. One and only one line can pass through a single point. You have a single point. Let's say this point is A. How many lines will pass through this A? 1, 2, 3. Correct? So how many lines? 3. Can you draw more? Yes. How many? Infinite. So one and only one line? No. Infinite lines. So this statement is false. I've already written it. This statement is false. Why it is false? Infinitely many lines can pass through a single point. That is the reason. Let's see the next one. There are infinite number of lines which pass through two distinct points. How many points? 2. And how are they? Distinct. These are distinct points. Not coinciding, not equal, distinct. So how many lines will pass? 1 line. Now pass second line? Not possible. So one and only one line passes through two distinct points. Unique line passes through two distinct points. So again, it's not infinite. One and only one. So this statement is also false. And what is the reason? One and only one line can pass through two distinct points. Alright. Now, third, a terminated line can be produced infinitely on both sides. Now this, let's say Mn. Because we have ends, it is called terminated line. Both the ends are there. So this is called terminated line. You can produce. Produce means extend. Produce means extend in this direction. And if you want, you can extend in this direction also. A terminated line can be produced infinitely on both sides. Yes, that is one of the Euclid's postulate. So this statement is true. This one is true. Okay, this one is true. This one. Alright. Let's move to the fourth one. If two circles are equal, then their radii are equal. Two circles are equal, then their radii are equal. Let's see. Here is one circle with center O. There is another circle with center C. Now, these two circles are equal. Equal means if you pick up this circle and overlap on this, they will coincide. They are equal. So they are coinciding. And if they are coinciding, blue circle, red circle. Or you can say green circle, red circle. They are coinciding. So their radius will be equal. Ye radius hai, ye radius. So their radii will be equal. This statement is true. Again, one of the Euclid's postulate. Okay. Let's move on to the next number. And that is the last one here. In figure below, if AB equal to PQ, this is AB and this is PQ. AB equal to PQ, that means AB overlap with PQ. Or if you pick up PQ and place it on AB, they coincide, that's why they are equal. And PQ, this one, is equal to XY, this one, these two. So if you pick up and put here, they coincide. If you pick up from here and put here, they coincide. That means this black one, this red one, and this black one, they are also coinciding. Ye jo black one hai, I put some symbol, tick mark for red coinciding with green, because they are equal. Cross mark for green coinciding with black, because they are equal. So you can say, place this red on this, it will coincide with green. Place this black on it, it will coincide with green. So red and black are also coinciding. So red and black are also equal. AB is red, XY is black. This statement is also true. Again, the reason, true statement, you give the reason which postulate or axiom that is used. Alright? It is postulate number 3. Alright? Euclid's postulate. 2 equals. If 2 are coinciding, then they are equal. If 2 things are coinciding, then they are equal. So, here postulate is used. Here also postulate is used. Here also postulate is used. Here, one and only one line passes. And here, infinite line passes. I hope you have understood the first question. Good. So, moving on to the next question of exercise 5.1. Question number 2. Give definition for each of the following terms. Here, the first is given parallel lines. You have to define that. Are there other terms that need to be defined first? Children, when we define these parallel lines, in that have we used the words which are needed to be defined first? Find out that. What are they? If there are such words, then what are they? And how might you define them? Alright. Children, let's see what are parallel lines. See, I have drawn one line L on this board, that is one plane. ये board को एक plane कह सकते हैं. This is another line M. It is also lying on the board. This is another line N. This line is T. So 4 lines. This line is P, small p. So 5 lines are drawn, and all 5 lines lie on the same plane. So all these 5 lines are called coplanar lines. That means in the same plane. Coplanar means in the same plane. Alright? एक ही plane में है. Alright? So this is one thing you need to know. What are coplanar lines? Acha, bolo. I'm going to draw a pair of lines. You have to just tell me whether they are intersecting or not. Red lines. Are they intersecting? Will they meet? No. Are these 2 lines intersecting? Yes. Are these 2 lines intersecting? For those who said no, they are. See this arrow, if you extend it further, they meet. Chali. What about this line? Are they intersecting? Yes. इसको extend करो. Chali. Are these 2 lines intersecting? Yes. इसको extend करो. They are meeting. So here, intersecting lines and non-intersecting lines. These are intersecting, non-intersecting, intersecting, intersecting, intersecting. This black and this green, they are non-intersecting. That means they are parallel. जो intersect नहीं हो रहे वो parallel है. But children, they have to be in the same plane. 2 lines have to be in the same plane, and they should never intersect each other. Then such lines are called parallel lines. So let's write definition of parallel lines. I'll find that. Two lines, but compulsory they have to be in the same plane. So two coplanar lines which never intersect each other, which never intersect each other are called parallel lines. Are called parallel lines. And this is how we draw L and M. And to show they are in the same plane, they are kept in a box like this. And the name of the plane, alpha. Uska bhi kuch naam alpha. It is a Greek letter which is called alpha. So ये plane alpha में दोनों line L and M है. And how do we write symbolically? L, okay, in words. In words, L is parallel to M. And in symbol, L is parallel to M. This is how we write symbolically. Understood? अब वो चीज क्या? We have defined parallel lines. Which terms you used? You used coplanar lines. है ना? You should know what are coplanar lines. So this term you can use only if you know them, know it. Correct? So here, the term used is coplanar lines, which we need to define. Any more? Intersect. Intersecting lines and non-intersecting lines. Intersecting lines means what? Okay, I'll use that word. Intersect also. Intersecting lines. Two non-coplanar, non-intersecting lines. ऐसे भी define कर सकता हूँ. Two coplanar and non-intersecting lines are called parallel lines. Now, what do you mean by coplanar lines? And what do you mean by non-intersecting lines? Chalo, coplanar lines I've already said. Okay, we'll define. I'll rub out this. You all take screenshot or pause the video and enter in your notebook. Coplanar lines and non-intersecting lines. Two coplanar lines and non-intersecting lines are the terms need to be defined first. Chaliye, so first we define coplanar lines. Coplanar lines. Simple. Lines which lie in the same plane. Lines which lie in the same plane are known as coplanar lines. All right. Next, what are non-intersecting lines? Non-intersecting lines. Non-intersecting lines. Children, ये non-intersecting है ना? और ये intersecting है. LM एक और है L और वही लाइन coincide हो रही है M. So दोनों equal line. Here distinct line and equal line. Here not a single point is common. L का कोई point M के साथ common नहीं है. यहाँ L और M का एक point common है. यहाँ L और M का सारे points common है. So if points are common between the two lines, they are intersecting. If points are not common, they are not intersecting. So that will be the definition. If there is no point in common for given lines, then they are said to be non-intersecting intersecting lines. Clear to you? Sure? Understood? All right. So now we move on to the second definition. Okay. And what is the second one? Let's see. I hope you understood the question. आपको क्वेश्चन पूरा समझ में आया? I hope so. चलिए next is perpendicular lines. Second, you have to define perpendicular lines. चलिए. Here, one line and other line, they are intersecting. Line L and M are intersecting. When they intersect, angle number 1, angle number 2, angle number 3 and angle number 4. One angle, second angle, third angle and fourth angle. 4 angles are formed. If one of the angle is right angle, then these two lines are called perpendicular lines. These two lines are called perpendicular lines. And since these two lines are intersecting, they are always in the same plane. So we need not say coplanar lines. Parallel lines में coplanar lines जरूरी है. तब perpendicular lines में coplanar बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है because they are always coplanar. Are you getting me? Are you getting me, children? Fine. Okay. So what are perpendicular lines? If one of the angles formed by intersection, if 4 angles are formed, if one of the 4 angles formed by two intersecting lines is a right angle, then they are known as perpendicular lines. I hope you have understood. Here, there is black line, let's call it L. Here is green line, let's call it M. And this angle is right angle. Okay, so that is the definition. If one of the 4 angles formed by 2 intersecting lines is a right angle, then they are known as perpendicular lines. Chalo, are there any new terms? Yes, right angle. है ना? Right angle, पता होना चाहिए what is right angle. What is right angle? An angle whose measure is exactly 90 degrees is known as right angle. Then intersecting lines, ये भी है. So to define perpendicular lines, we use right angle, we use intersecting lines, and we use angles also. ये angle. All right. So you will have to define this. I'm not going to define right now angles because in the next chapter, okay, we will be defining it in detail. Chaliye. Now, this is done. I'll write the definition, but I will not explain angle. Okay. Right angle or intersecting lines. That is already defined this. Okay. Fine. So, I'll say angles, intersecting lines, and right angle are the terms needed to be defined first. If you want to define perpendicular lines, आपको ये 3 terms को define करना पड़ेगा. Okay? So I'll write that now. Angles, intersecting lines, and right angle are the terms required to be defined first. Let's see one by one. Children, angle. I'm going to define angle. Children, here is one point. I can draw one ray from same point. Let me draw another ray. They have to be distinct rays. Then these two rays form a structure, figure, diagram, which is called angle. Look, this is one ray and this is another ray. This ray, you can say, lies on this line. This ray lies on this line. So these two rays are not lying on the same line. Whereas this ray lies on this line. This ray lies on this line L. This ray also lies on the same line. So they do not form angle. The two rays, two distinct rays, they are originating from the same point. This point is called origin. Correct? So both the rays, they are distinct, originating from the same point and not on the same line. Then they form an angle. These two rays, they are originating from the same point. Their origin is same. They are distinct rays, but they are lying on the same line. So they do not form an angle. We'll see that in detail when we learn in the next chapter. Alright? Angle chapter. Okay. Two distinct rays with common origin, same origin, and not lying on the same line, form an angle. And you can write that, you can draw that figure. This point is A, this point is B, and this point is C. So ray BA and ray BC originate from the same point B, and they are not on the same line. Okay, fine, that's it. I'm not going to write the symbol and all that because we are going to see that in detail in future. Next, intersecting lines. I'm not going to write for this. In case 1, I've written it, intersecting lines. So now we will define right angle. Right angle. Children, you all will write again. अब मैं लिख रहा हूं right angle. An angle with measure exactly 90 degrees is called right angle. An angle with measure exactly 90 degrees is known as right angle. Alright? And how might you define them? This is how you can define those terms. Is that clear? So we move on to the third term, and that is line segment. It is line segment. Third, line segment. Oh children, इसका definition तो Euclid ने दिया है, though it is undefined term. What is line segment? A terminated line. A terminated line is known as a line segment. A terminated line is known as a line segment, and you can draw here the line is terminated. Now, is there any term used which need to be defined first? Yes, you have to define this line. What is line? Okay, line is a term to be need to be defined. Need to be defined. Let's define it. Line. What is line? A breathless length is known as line. A breathless less length is known as line. Got it, children? Okay, fine. So third one we defined line segment. In that this word line has to be defined first. So we define that also. Okay. Now let's see the fourth one. All right. Fourth one. Radius of a circle. Radius of a circle. Children, a circle is drawn with center O and radius whatever. Okay. Now take any point A on the circle. This is center. This is point on circle. Join the center with any point on the circle. This is called radius. इसे कहते हैं radius. There is another definition also, but when we see the chapter circle, that time we'll see in detail. So what is radius? What is radius? ये red color part आपको क्या दिख रहा है? A line segment. A line segment. A line segment. Joining. Joining. किसको join करता है? Center of the circle. Joining center of the circle. And any point on the circle. This A can be here, it can be here, anyway. And any point on the circle is known as radius of that circle. Is that clear, children? So got radius. Now, have you got any term which has to be defined first? Yes. Here line segment is there. So I'm not going to write, I'm just going to say it. Here line segment need to be defined first. Line segment. बोलो क्या है line segment? A terminated line is known as line segment. Clear? So we did fourth. We move on to the fifth, and that is the last sub question of number 2. Square. Number 5. Square. Children, do you know what is square? This. All 4 sides are equal. Let me say this is A, B, C, D. Side AB, side AB, side BC, side CD and side AD. The 4 line segment which forms this square, they are called sides. They are all equal. And all angles, angle A, angle B, angle C and angle D, they are right angles. Then this figure is called square. Children, ये जो closed figure है ऐसा 4 line segment से, ऐसे 4 line segment से, कुछ ऐसे 4 line segment से, कुछ ऐसे. See this closed figure, कुछ ऐसे. See this. All these closed figure which are formed of 4 line segment, they are called quadrilateral. They are called quadrilateral. और जो line segment दिखते हैं, they are called sides of quadrilateral. They are called sides of quadrilateral. So ये जो square है, एक quadrilateral है. It's a quadrilateral with all 4 sides equal and all 4 angles right angle. क्योंकि उसका 4 एंगल होते हैं. Every quadrilateral has 4 sides and 4 angles. So a quadrilateral whose all 4 sides are equal and all 4 angles are right angle is known as square. Paresh, I hope you understood. Green ink not getting erased easily. Correct? Blue goes fast. See that? All right. I would use green more. Chaliye. Square. What is square? a quadrilateral, quadrilateral whose all four sides are, whose all sides are equal, no need to say four, and all angles are right angles is known as square, So you have defined square. Now, are there any terms used by you to define square which are needed to be defined first? Yes. Quadrilateral. Yes. Sides. Yes. Angles. Yes. Right angles. 4 terms are used to define square. And you should know what are these 4 terms. It should be predefined. What is quadrilateral? You write that statement. Here, quadrilateral sides, angles and right angles need to be defined first. Now, I will define quadrilateral. A closed, this also we are going to define. एक पूरा chapter quadrilateral है आपको पढ़ने में. So, तब detail में देखेंगे. Now, simple definition I will give you. A closed figure formed by 4 line segments is known as quadrilateral. Okay? Chaliye. Next, sides. I'll define sides. What are sides? Those 4 line segments. 4 line segments which form a quadrilateral are called its sides. Alright? They are called its sides. Now, angle, I have defined. Right angle, I have defined. Earlier, we have already used. So, you may write the same thing. I hope question number 2 is clear. Okay, students. Then we move on to the third question of exercise 5.1. Let's see the statement. Consider 2 postulates given below. What you have written in red, first one, and what I have written in blue, second one. These are postulates, children. They are postulates. First, okay. Do these postulates contain any undefined terms? The first question you have to answer. Read the statement of postulate 1 and then postulate 2 and say if any undefined terms are used there. Okay. Are these postulates consistent? Now that you will have to understand what is consistent. Okay. When you read this postulate, postulates are what? Universally accepted true statement. It is universal truth. Okay. Lekin this is universal truth. This is universal truth. But the truthfulness of this postulate should not have any effect on the second postulate. And same, the truthfulness of this postulate should not have any effect on the other postulate. Then these postulates are said to be consistent. You may not have understood that. Fine. I'll give you one example. Let's say Narendra Modi is the best Prime Minister of India. This is one postulate. Alright? This is one postulate. And somebody says Rajiv Gandhi was the best Prime Minister of India. Alright? Yes, for some people Rajiv Gandhi may be the best. And for some people Narendra Modi must be the best. Now who is the best among them? Children, that is difficult. But if I say Narendra Modi is the best, then it is going to affect. Some people are saying Rajiv Gandhi is best. Some people are saying Narendra Modi is best. So there is contradiction. दोनों statement में contradiction है. the first statement has effect on the second, and the second statement has effect on the first. The truthfulness of first statement is proved wrong by the second statement, and the truthfulness that Rajiv Gandhi is the best prime minister is affected by the first statement. So here these two postulates are not consistent because one affects the other. I hope you got little bit. Okay? Okay. If you are confused, let me give you one more example. Some say mango is the king of fruits. Mango is the best fruit. And some others say pineapple is the best fruit. Again, there is contradiction. It becomes difficult to decide which is the best. Pineapple is the best, but the other statement says mango is the best. So, it challenges the truthfulness of the first statement. So, they affect each other. So, here these two postulates are not consistent. Okay, fine. First question. Do these postulates contain any undefined terms? Let's read the first postulate. Given any two distinct points A and B. So we have two distinct points A and B. There exists a third point C which is between A and B. So I have to draw a line. Yes, there is a third point. आपको एक point ये दो point के बीच मिलेगा ही. ये तो सच्चाई है. This is universal truth. So this is a postulate which says if two distinct points are given, then there is always at least one point between A and B. It can be here, it can be here, it can be exactly in the middle, anyway. So this is postulate. Are there any undefined terms? Yes. Yes. Point. Point is undefined term used here. Let's see the next statement. There exist at least 3 points that are not on the same line. Look here. This is one line L. There are at least 3 points. So, एक point, दूसरा point और तीसरा point दूसरा. Outside, क्योंकि same point पे लेंगे तो they are on the same line. So, there are at least 1, 2 and भाई line दिखाने के लिए कम से कम 2 point तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. And there are at least 3 points not on the line, not on the same line. So, I am taking the third point outside. ये भी एक postulate है, हकीकत है. That third point you can take anywhere you like, but not on the line L. So there are at least 3 points not lying on the same line, distinct points. Okay. So ये भी postulate. C is between A और B. कहने से इसके ऊपर कोई असर होने वाला नहीं है. C, A, B, C are not on the same line. ये कहने से इसके ऊपर कोई असर पड़ने वाला नहीं है. So these two postulates do not have any effect on each other. इसकी सच्चाई वही रहेगी, इसकी सच्चाई वही रहेगी. Both the truthfulness remains intact and one does not affect the other. So, yes, are these postulates consistent? Yes, the two postulates are consistent. Do they follow Euclid's postulate? You go through Euclid's postulate. जो सब postulates दिए हैं उसमें देखो क्या ये स्टेटमेंट है, क्या ये स्टेटमेंट है, नहीं है. So these are two new postulates that must have come after Euclid's. Euclid's के बाद किसी और मैथमेटिशियन ने ये postulates दिए होंगे. So ये Euclid's में नहीं है. Do they follow Euclid's postulate? No, they do not follow Euclid's postulate. I hope you understood. I am repeating. Consider two postulates, 1 and 2. Do these postulates contain any defined terms? Oh, I didn't see here. There exist at least 3 points which are not on the same line. Here also point and a line. They are undefined terms. So, pehla question. Do these points contain any undefined terms? Yes. Point and line. These are the two undefined terms used in those two postulates. Are these postulates consistent? Yes, they are consistent. Do they follow Euclid's postulate? No, they do not follow Euclid's postulate. I hope you have understood. That's all for today's session. Goodbye, children. Have a good day.